Good morning. Thank you for being here. I'm Mary Winters. I'm a gerontologist, the owner of About Senior Solutions, and you are watching Visionary Aging. This is a program about empowering you to make great choices and have options so that you can age gracefully and with a lot of power and choices and wonderful options and resources around you. So we have a fantastic guest on today. We have Debbie Cost, and she is with Coro Health. She does a lot with music and therapy and does a lot of training in that area. So I want you to take advantage of some of the resources that they offer, and also want to share a little bit about Marie Starks and her 100th birthday. And we'll also talk about being kind to ourselves now that we're coming out of COVID. Everybody thinks everything's going to be the same as it always was, and it isn't always that way. We also have Steve McCullough, who is with us, and he is going to present a caregiver question. So let's see if we can. I know he's with us, so let me go ahead and see if I can find his little intro, and we'll bring him on. Hey, Steve, how are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
I didn't know if you were going to make it this morning.
It was different. Yeah. Hard time logging in.
Yeah, it was a little different this morning. So sorry, everybody, we were a little bit late. But tell us what your caregiver question is.
So our caregiver question is, with the weather changing and it getting really hot, what extra precautions do seniors need to take to make sure that they're, being hydrated and not affected by this heat wave we're experiencing?
Yeah, they are calling it a heat wave warning. So, you basically said it right there, hydrate. And we can even talk with Melinda a little bit too in regards to nutrition. But there are foods that have a little more added hydration to them, like melons and berries and cucumbers. And just looking at staying hydrated, but also avoiding foods that can be dehydrating, like coffee and alcohol and black tea and things that can be dehydrating to your body as well. So I would say throw some juice into the freezer and make some popsicles out of it, or just enjoy something with maybe a little squeeze of lemon just to flavor your water to make it a little more palatable. I have a client right now who he enjoys drinking and a lot. And so we were having a lot of problems with his body being dehydrated because of that. And we've come up with a really nice solution. He has a bottle of water, and then he can have something to drink, and then a bottle of water and something to drink. And it's worked out very nicely in regards to keeping him hydrated and him feeling like he's getting what he wants with his wine or a different drink that he might enjoy. So that's been really helpful. So we have a great guest on today. Her name is Debbie Cost, and she's with Coro Health. We're going to talk a lot about life enhancement, which is right up my alley, which I love. And but we have a calendar today for the perk.
Mm-hmm.
The perk. And today is actually National Zoo Lovers Day.
Nice.
So if you would like to benefit from this free monthly little articles or little things that we do, please reach out to the office at 626-359-0108 and just ask for Ginny or Teresa, and they will get this out to you in an email. But it's something different every single day. You can see it has crossword puzzles. Tomorrow is going to be, what is that? Can you read that? Cherish an Antique Day. But there are all these funny, silly things that are coordinated with it too. This is the monthly calendar that's on one side, but it just has, just some fun things to talk about. Mm-hmm. So nice little.
It's good talking points for sure.
Exactly. There you go. Thank you for putting in my mind what I was trying to say. or for saying what I was trying to say, but that was in my. All right, so we're going to bring on Debbie, and I like her little caricature, so we're going to bring that little caricature on first, and I'll go ahead and hide this. But isn't that great? She's swinging to the music right there in her little clip. So we'll go ahead and bring her on, and we'll talk to you at the end. How's that?
Sounds like a plan. Have a good show.
All right, thanks. Yeah, so Debbie coming in, and here she is. I like your caricature, Debbie. And I muted her.
I reflect more of my caricature, but really it's just the glasses.
That's great. Yeah, so I love, when I met you a few weeks ago, I love what I was hearing, and I thought we have to have her on to share more about this great resource. So tell us what Coro Health is and what you do specifically for them.
Okay, so I have worked for Coro for about 12 years, and we provide therapeutic music and spiritual support within healthcare. So that is across healthcare, whether or not it's long-term care, it's oncology, it's a hospice or hospital setting. But for us, we understand that there are only 6,000 at any given point of music therapists in this country, but the power of music is still should be part of every person, every caregiver's arsenal. So for us, and my job is the director of client enrichment and training, but I'm also the storyteller. And so for today, I want everyone to know that by the time you get off of my little chat, you will learn one, if not a dozen new things about using the power of music, and then being able to have confidence in using music for yourself, understanding some of the science behind music, but then also using music as a care tool.
Fantastic. Well, love it. Love it. This whole show's about empowering people. So this is
that's why I'm so honored to be here. It's like I'm talking to my tribe.
Exactly. You sure are. So yeah, let's get started. Let's start.
Awesome.
So tell me more about so how do you roll this out then? So you're training these organizations, but tell me about some of these tips then that you want to share with our viewers.
Yeah, the presentation, I don't know if there's a way to share that screen.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, I thought it would also be important to because sometimes it's better to learn by hearing, but also seeing and being able to write notes.
So, okay, so I didn't realize this was actually a presentation. I don't know if it comes up as anything other than just your
oh, okay.
So
that's fine. I can. Oh, there we go. I can control it.
Okay.
Yay. Okay. So I also believe that it's really important because I'm not a licensed music therapist. I want everyone to know that. But I also think it's important of understanding for me to earn the right to your audience. So this is a little bit of my background. I started my first 5 years of my career on the commercial side, meaning if you're familiar with companies like Muzak, Mood Media, we provided music for retail environments, hospitality, gyms, understanding that major brands understand the power of music on human behavior. But after about 5 years, I had the opportunity to go to Coro and still taking what I had learned and what I understood about the power of music, but really be able to use it as a care tool. So I started off in memory care, assisted living, and like I was saying before. But on the personal side, because I think this is also so important, it's not just selling something or just talking about something you don't believe in. I'm a mother of a son who was diagnosed with very mild ADHD, but in a lot of his testing came back that he suffered from really high anxiety. And it was a struggle early on with him studying, being in a classroom, how his brain processed sounds and things like that. And so I sat with our music designers, our music therapist team, and really started to understand how to use music as a care tool for my own son. And to this day, my son is so amazing with creating playlists for himself that he actually creates playlists based on the subject matter. He has a different playlist for math than he does for English and so on. The other thing is last year I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I'm okay.
Good.
But going through that, there's a lot of medications, a lot of anti-anxiety medication that's given. And so for me, I use music in a wide capacity of ways. And one of those, and you were actually on that presentation on the 25th, I woke up that morning and that was my 1-year anniversary of my diagnosis. And I woke up thinking I should be wonderfully happy and healthy, but I woke up super riddled with anxiety, and I went straight to my own personal med cart and a quick little anti-anxiety medication sat on my desk. But then it hit me going, I have 2 big presentations, and to talk about music, here's a perfect example. Yeah. And so I left the medication to the side. I brought up one of our music programs, which is called Soundscapes, which is the sound of, I think the one that I picked out was one with strings. So it was guitars and harps, but it was hearing waterfalls behind it, just to lower my heart rate, to increase my happy hormones. And obviously you were on the presentation, and I mean, it did. So it goes back to, and I tell everyone, you think about how you start your day. And we were talking about just for a minute about healing. All of us, I think for the most part, we were able to raise hands, how do you start your day? What's the first media you engage with? And I'm sure it's going to be a smartphone. It may even be a TV, but it's going to probably be related to news. And that's how you start your day. You want to collect information. I think what's a better way and a more healing and a better outlook for your day is to start your day with listening to music that you love. Because what happens is that without any control of you, your body is releasing those dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and it's literally springboarding you into the day. And then afterwards, watching something that may kind of be a little more challenging to experience.
I completely agree. I think that's really important. And I think it's important to just to center yourself with whatever it is, if it's music or prayer or meditation.
Completely.
Absolutely.
Oh, 100%. That's the reason why I love this slide. Exposure to music may cause sudden outbursts of joy, happiness, energy, creativity, awareness, spontaneous healing. However, handle at your own risk, because people will ask, can you get it wrong? And yes, you can. So here's just some little bit of a delay. So here's all these variations of how we all consume music. And this is literally mass consumption. And I think that's the reason why for a lot of people, we kind of default or discount the power of music because we listen to it on the radio. We have it access on TV, on music, on movies and TV shows, commercials and jingles.
Yeah.
But the reason why we have all of that is because it works. When you watch a movie, they've done studies where you watch a movie and you remove the music soundtrack. People, about almost like 40%, have more confusion on the true storyline of the movie because they're not cued, because that's what music.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You think about that plotting minor key in Jaws.
Yeah.
And building up what it's doing. Yes. What it's doing is cueing you up of how to feel. So when they show it to you, you're already in that fight or flight. So that's so much of what we do, or so much of what mass consumption is. But yet again, using music as a care tool, listening to the radio, you're also going to have DJs talking about the news. You're going to have commercials, which in memory care, I had witnessed years ago, a gentleman, and they had a radio on in the community, and it was memory care. And he heard a commercial about bass fishing. And he came to the realization that I own a boat. I need to go fishing. It's fishing season. And he went straight to try to leave the community. And it caused challenges across the board, but specifically on him. And just to be able to witness that and realizing a commercial of something like that can trigger something. So going back to all these different ways to access music, here's some of the great science behind it, because this was my promise. But when you look at it, research studies for decades, you have to understand music therapy came about after World War I, when nurses actually went into the hospital with their guitars and realizing that they were actually able to help provide what I always sign off on with care in the air. But research studies it soothes pain, improves sleep. In fact, even with as you can see in this image, there was actually some anesthesiologists that did a study, and they were actually able to reduce up to 30% of anesthesia to patients when they allowed them to listen to calming music that supported them before surgery. Then over here, you look at some of these other images and you see where music, whether or not it's familiar songs, it's memory, it's singing, but all of these, I always tell people, I'm like, your brain will light up like a Christmas tree when you listen to music that you're connected to. And like I said, I started my career off after on the commercial side. I worked with memory care. And so this is what we refer to, or I do, as the sweet spot. This is the medial prefrontal cortex. But the medial prefrontal cortex is where music, memory, and emotion all intermingle. So if you saw the movie The Notebook, when she stood up and started to dance and recognized her husband, that's because that song brought all of those pieces together in that moment.
Yes.
Then you look at kind of, we always like the term like hacks. And that's what's so great. And like I was saying before, starting your day listening to music, get a really good speaker. When you're in the shower, have music playing even as you're getting ready in the morning, because it's releasing the dopamine, the oxytocin, endorphins, all of your happy hormones. So having that to start your day is pivotal. And as you can see, these other examples of like going out and meditation, eating food, activities, you can even enhance those things by providing music as well. So this is who I refer to as Dr. Oliver Sacks. And he, to me, is the godfather of music in the brain. If you ever saw the movie Awakenings with Robin Williams, that was Dr. Sacks. So he had always been studying music in the brain for years. However, he had to wait. He had to go through the 50s and the 60s and 70s, but he had to wait for the invention of an fMRI. So here it is. He was actually able to see what his brain looked like listening to music that he loved and music that he didn't, which just happened to be a great love of Bach and not so much of Beethoven. But the really interesting thing and fascinating thing, and if y'all have access to PBS Nova, this is actually one of their episodes, and just look up Dr. Sacks. But what the scientists did with Dr. Sacks is when they put him through the fMRI, they found two comparable songs, one by Bach and one by Beethoven. And what they did is they played both of them, asking him which was which. And Dr. Sacks could not identify one from the other. But when they looked at his brain scan, even in his confusion, could identify which artist that he preferred. So here are some of my things for you of creating your own playlist, is to look at creating a music playlist for yourself. Think about what the activity is. We all get caught up in creating these playlists of like, oh, I just love that song. I just love that song. And next thing you know, you've got a laundry list of 8 to 10 hours of music. If you create something on Spotify or Pandora or store it on your computer. But what I want you to think about is breaking playlists down to the activity. If you do cleaning your house, like cleaning your house, having a different playlist for that. When you work out, you need a higher beat per minute, because it doesn't matter if you dance, your body is going to be triggered to the beat. Yes. So that's what you want to do. It's the reason why in my previous life, I would always talk to restaurant owners that their lunch needed to be a beats per minute higher than their dinner, just because of how people would actually navigate and speed up.
Yeah, very interesting.
And also think about the lyrics that you're singing. Like I remember when there was a song that came out, Kicks, and it was actually singing about a school shooting, but it was so popular on the radio that people didn't realize exactly what they were saying. And I also say that because, especially for someone, for example, that loves country music and wants to play a relaxing program, but sometimes you have to really watch what the words are, because there's a lot of loss involved. And so when you're talking and singing about that loss, and I hate to say, I've lost my house, I've lost my wife, I've lost my dog, that really puts you in a negative mindset. And then
it's like our nursery rhymes too. London bridges falling down.
I know, exactly. And the other thing is texture. And this is a really good example of really when you're taking care of someone. And I always use the example of Amazing Grace, because when you look up that song, whether or not it's YouTube or Spotify or Pandora, And there's thousands of variations of that song.
Mm-hmm.
So someone, if you're playing it with a full orchestra, which for us is a beautiful rendition of that song, but for someone who has cognitive challenges, whether or not it's been a stroke, whether or not it's been blunt force trauma to the brain, or it's dementia.
Right.
They may have a negative reaction to that. And what's reason is because too much texture, too much instrumentation, it becomes noise to them. So having Amazing Grace being an acoustic set, or one of my son's favorites, because he still goes to sleep to it to this day, is Elvis Presley, just with a guitar singing Amazing Grace.
Oh, yeah.
That's so much easier for the brain to process, and it's so important.
Nice.
So what does music really do? Yes, I can give you all the science behind it, and we can talk about that. But it feeds passion, it motivates, it brings joy, it evokes hope, it does all of these things. And that's what the power of music does. It's just for all of us to be more mindful of how I want to use music today, like how I want to use it in this moment in time, including even on your commutes when you're in the car. I mean, definitely, it goes back to releasing all those happy hormones. That's a much better and healthier way to start your day, and it's a much healthier way to end your day.
Sure. I mean, Melinda will even say exercise is a better way.
Oh, completely. 1000%.
If we're doing things differently, which is fantastic. So really appreciate that.
Yes. So that's my little nugget for everybody.
Wonderful. I love it. Well, I hope everybody will take that into consideration. So share a little bit more about maybe your favorite things for when you're energizing versus, or maybe categorize. What are your specific categories that you kind of create?
Sure. So at Coro, what we do, we have different libraries for all, but one of our basic that actually our music was put through a clinical trial and was actually published in the Journal of Music and Medicine. But what we focused on for that clinical trial was wake, energy, relax, and sleep. So you kind of think about those are basic elements throughout anyone's day, is what you listen to when you wake up, what you listen to when you may need to kind of trigger and start your day. You kind of think about, you need to get up the stairwell of the day. So you need to have a more of an energetic music program. But then towards the end of the day, I finished out my day, but I'm still holding on to some of those anxieties, or I'm already like looking to the future of what I need to do tomorrow. But you still need to start supporting yourself to kind of like lower your heart rate by lowering your breaths that you take, to start taking deeper breaths, slowing things down. Like I said, even for restaurants, we used to talk about lunch versus dinner and how different those dynamics are. And then obviously, like I was saying, is what you sleep by and things. And the thing is with sleep, people will ask me, well, I need to have a program that rotates. And actually, that's actually inaccurate. What you want to do is create a music program to sleep by that is literally just one program and maybe 40 minutes long at best. And you want to keep that in rotation constantly. What happens if you start to shuffle songs? What happens with that is that your brain is like, the next song, your brain has this piece that's anticipation, and it triggers that anticipation, which re-engages you, and actually now it makes it more difficult to go to sleep. So you want to find a music program, create it, and listen to it in the same order every time.
Interesting. I found that it's even better for me to have somebody on a book on tape with a very monotone voice. Blah, 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 blah. And I sometimes wake up, fall asleep, wake up, fall asleep.
No, complete, yes.
Just kind of this solid, just boring voice in a way, which helps me fall asleep. So
yeah, I needed my algebra teacher from high school. I would fall asleep.
There you go. Charlie Brown's teacher.
Yes.
That or not. Well, thank you so much. Do you want to hang out till the end with us?
Yes, I would love to.
All right, then we will talk to you at the very end of the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, that's such great information. I love it, and so important. I am going to go ahead and talk about our little birthday girl today. is our beautiful birthday girl. Her name is Marie Starks, and she is from Texas. She's 100 years old, just like all of our other beautiful men and women that we share a little bit about. And she moved from one spot in Texas to another spot in Texas when she was 2, and she stayed there. But she elevated herself from working in the cotton fields from when she was a little girl to she worked alongside as the custodian for the president over at Angelo State College. And some of her friends talked about how marvelous she is, and that they just love her faith. And she is just an incredible lady. She was part of the NAACP in her area, and I am sure that she accomplished quite a bit in her lifetime. So thank you very much for your service, and thank you very much for everything that you've done for our communities. And Miss Marie, I hope you have a very, very happy 100th year. Thank you so much. And let's go ahead and we'll add in Melinda. Hey, Melinda, how are you? Hi. Good morning to you.
Oh my gosh, what a wonderful show. I'm so jazzed about music therapy. Like,
oh, I know.
So cool.
And such wonderful logical tips too. It just makes sense. What a great trainer. What a great trainer. Great.
Yeah, we often get asked at the strength shop why we don't play music, because it's so not typical to walk into a gym or a fitness studio and not hear music. And that is the reason, as the physical effect that music has on your body. We don't want people to start moving the weights to the rhythm of the music, like speeding up because it's a faster song. Yeah, so it keeps people from doing that. And that's why.
Very interesting. I did not know that. Something new. I learn every day. So tell me, I mean, you have people who are being pretty hard on themselves. They're coming back to the gyms, and so share a little bit about what you're connecting with your clients and some of the advice that you're giving.
Yeah, we're having people come back after a rough 2 years that we all collectively experienced. And I'm also having some people come back who've experienced health hardships in that 2-year period. So they've, been diagnosed with cancers and gone through the chemotherapy and the radiation, sometimes surgeries. And a lot of times they're coming in with the apology of, if they've been our clients in the past and had been gone at this time, they're coming in saying, I'm not the same. And I've lost all this, and I haven't been doing this. And I'm so much worse off, and kind of this like apology. And even the clients that we are just meeting for the first time are coming in saying, I'm not usually like this, like normally. And so, I think we as human beings have a history or a tendency to compare ourselves to others. But right now I'm seeing people comparing themselves to what they were 2 years ago, before the global pandemic, before the health hardship that they've been experiencing. And that can be pretty dangerous too. So what I've kind of been comparing it to, talking about it with others, is when we build muscle and we lift the weight, we're actually making the body temporarily weaker. So the muscles are contracting, and we're making the body temporarily weaker. And the days after the workout, in that recovery time, our body releases growth hormones, osteoblasts, which help build bone tissue. And that's how we become stronger. But there's this period of time between the workout, which is the hardship, and the new strength, where you're actually weak and you're in recovery. And I've been telling people coming in, and telling myself this as well, that collectively from the global pandemic and from, certain health hardships that people are experiencing, they're in that period of time right after the hardship, right after the workout, where you're a little bit weaker and you're in recovery mode. And to compare your weakened self to the self that walked into the studio, because that's the big thing, right? When you walk into the strength shop, you're at a level of strength and we make you weaker. So when you leave the strength shop, you're actually weaker than when you walked in. And it's the days after that
weaker.
yeah. So
Yeah.
and you feel it. They're wobbly, they're shaky.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's important to understand that sometimes that's necessary for growth, for becoming the strongest version of ourselves. So allowing ourselves to be in this period of time where we're weaker, we don't feel the same. Things feel badly.
I agree. But with that, we also build and we become stronger then too. I love that. What a great.
There are certain things that we can do, like music therapy, that can help that healing process, that can help us through that period of time where we feel weaker, where we're healing, where we're in recovery mode for whatever hardship. In 2014, I went through a really devastating breakup. And this feeds into what I was talking about too, but that breakup I knew was going to be a marathon, that there was going to be an emotional recovery that I would have to go through. And it took me 2 years to get through that. But what was beneficial to that going into that time period is there was 6 to 8 months before the breakup where I knew it was coming. I was preparing myself.
Right.
And what's important for people to understand with the global pandemic and with a diagnosis such as cancer or another health hardship, an accident, you don't get the 6 to 8 months to prepare for the marathon. You're thrown into an ultra marathon without preparation. And you're not going to be able to compare yourself who you were emotionally, mentally, and physically to the person before that hardship. You have to get through it. And then when you're recovered, then you can look back and say, wow, did I gain a lot from going through that experience and surviving it?
That's great.
The wonderful thing about listening to music therapy today and today's show was that when I went through that breakup, the level of anxiety and depression that I felt was probably the highest in my lifetime at that point until the global pandemic.
Yeah.
But I was in the car one day and Eye of the Tiger came on the radio and I felt feelings of happiness for the first time since my breakup began.
I'm going to bring Debbie back on. I'm going to bring Debbie on. I don't know if Steve's still with us. I think Steve took
Debbie,
off. But,
I had Eye of the Tiger on a browser on my phone the whole 2 years. And every day when I woke up and throughout the day, if I felt myself going too low, I would start playing that and I would jump around and it was
awesome.
It's a survival song. And I loved it. I was like, I'm going to get through this.
No, and it's interesting. And I love to hear that because a lot of people, what will happen is that when they're in that mindset and they reach for music, they actually reach for breakup songs that kind of help keep them in that state versus doing what they should do and finding their eye of the tiger. And that's what it is that they should be playing. So I love that story. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the Eye of the Tiger works for me. I can see why people would reach for a song that maybe would allow them to process the emotions more quickly, cry it out and move on.
Completely.
But for me, I needed to drag myself out of the hole.
Good for you.
Thank you so much, everybody. This is a great, great show. I so appreciate the information, the energy, and the advice. And as my friend, Mr. Wells, used to say, be kind to yourself. And I think as we are opening up again, definitely take some of Melinda and Debbie's advice and be kind to yourself and come back and watch us next week. Thanks so much.
Stay safe. Stay cool.
Yes, stay cool.
Here we go. Oops.